My son had a very low self-esteem. He seemed to struggle at everything he did. When he started school, I went to my first parent-teacher conference, and I just knew, this is my first child, and I thought, oh, besides being cute and sweet and adorable, they are going to tell me he's also very intelligent, and they were just going to tell me how wonderful he was. And what they had to say was, he spends a lot of time in the hall. That pretty much set the tone for his whole school life. Now, when he got to junior high, before I realized what had happened, I found out he was on drugs. I was devastated. How could this happen? How could all this happen and get this far without me knowing it? Tried several things. Public schools, private schools, counseling, rehab. He would run away from home and we'd bring him back. Run away from home, we'd bring him back. One night I got a call. Well, before the call came, I was crying and praying, as I did a lot at those days, but I was crying, I was praying, and I was having a one-sided conversation with God. And I was like, God, do not put anything else on me. I've had it. I've just had it, and I can't take any more. I got a call about 2 in the morning. It was from a hospital in Colorado asking for permission to treat because he had taken an overdose. Now, we lived in Oklahoma. How he got to Colorado, I'll never know. Brought him back home. Now, as I told you, my son continued his lifestyle of drugs. And that went on. That was his total life. 4 years ago, I got a call from my oldest daughter. She and my son were both living in Nevada. He had gone out there seeking her help. She was trying to help him get back on his feet again, but he had burned bridges with everybody else. And so he was out there helping. She was trying to help him. He would do fine for a while, and he'd fall off the wagon again. He'd do fine, and it would fall off. It's just a repetition. I got a call from her on a Thursday night. And she called and she said, Mom, he's in the hospital again. They don't think he's going to make it through the weekend. She took me to the hospital, and I stayed there the entire day. We talked about everything. I'm going to read to you just a couple of paragraphs from my book. When I arrived to his room, he was sitting up and said, Mom, I'm back. I held him and reassured him that I was there. I sat at his bedside for several hours, just waiting for the inevitable. Occasionally, he would sit straight up in the bed, and he'd go, Mom. I'd say, I'm here. I was able to hold him and comfort him till he settled down. That went on for several hours. He eventually quit waking up, and he finally breathed his last breath just a few moments, a few hours before his 40th birthday. Now, even though my heart was broken, I was grateful God had given me the opportunity to be there. You see, because of his lifestyle, he never came home. I hadn't seen him in about 7 years. God could have taken him at any time. They didn't expect him to make it through the weekend. God could have taken him at any time, but instead, he was merciful. He gave us several hours together so we could say our goodbyes and have closure. I was able to hold him and sing to him. I got to look him in the face and tell him that I loved him before I had to tell him goodbye. For that, I will always be grateful.